Good day, students. I welcome you to today's examination-based presentation for 2021 examination. My name is Edu Triumph, your contact tutor for Computer Literacy 1. This presentation that I'm going to give to you is not a content-based presentation, rather it's a presentation that will guide you comes 2021 for your examination. But this presentation is for who? This presentation is for those who take diploma in pre-primary education, Dppe CL11, and Bachelor of Education Senior Primary, Besp CL11. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because computer literacy is a compulsory subject for all education students. And so we at IUL, we have different programs. So I'm saying this so that you don't download or use an examination guide that is not meant for you. So make sure that you take either of these courses before you can listen to this presentation. Now, this presentation is for which of the examination? This presentation is for April, August, and November 2021 examination, computer literacy. Meaning that we don't have different presentations for different examinations. One presentation will guide you whether you are going to write in April, you are going to write in August, or you are going to write in November. We create an equal platform for all the students. Now, let me ask you this question that is on the screen. Are you worried because of the examination? Probably what to study? Are you having anxiety? Are you anxious? It is normal to be anxious when examination is coming because it is unknown. You don't know what will come out from your examination. You are not sure where the question is going to come from. You are not sure what is going to be asked. So it is normal to be anxious, but don't let the anxiety weigh you down. Do you know the good news? The good news is this. IUL pays me to help you overcome the anxieties that are likely to come when it has to do with computer literacy. So, just like what Jesus Christ said, I'm going to send you a helper when I go back. IUL have already sent me to you to assist you to overcome this problem of your examination in computer literacy. So just sit down and realize while I take you through this presentation, all right? But take note of one thing, this presentation will guide you. This presentation is not a scope. I repeat that, this presentation is not a scope. Why am I emphasizing on this point? It has been there when students finish an examination. They call you, Mr. Edo, where are you? Then I answer, I am home or I am at work. How come you give us this question that is not in your presentation? My answer, remember, I did not give you an examination scope. I gave you a guide. So do not think that this presentation is going to tell you the topics that you must study only. No. I will guide you through for the examination that will guide you in such a way that it covers the entire module. Now, before I go into the content of this presentation, I want us to have a look at some of these examination guide. Do not look down on some of these things that I'm going to mention now. Listen to what I am going to say. Listen to me. Good. Remember, you submitted an assignment. You passed the assignment. That is why you are qualified for this examination. Now, that assignment that you submitted, we marked and we return the assignment booklets back to you. Please review your assignment question. Why? The examination and your assignment, they take the same formats. So go back and review your your assignment booklets. I gave you a specific comment telling you things that you did wrong and how to overcome such problems next time. Pay attention to those comments. I equally gave an assignment feedback for the whole examination. So meaning while marking, there are these common errors that students make. I compiled all the errors together and provided solutions of kind of things that you should do to overcome or repeating such errors. So my assignment feedback, please download it and go through it. Another thing that you must also download is the previous examination question papers. The previous examination question papers. By the time you go through the previous examination question paper, you will be familiar with the structure, with the format of the examination. This is very important. It doesn't mean that I'm going to repeat the previous examination questions, no, but the format, the structure is the same. That will be of very good importance to you. In fact, it will make things easier for you in such a way that when you see your examination question paper, you are already familiar with how it looks like. It will not come like a kind of a surprise to you. Something else again. Familiarize yourself with your course outline and module. You have a course outline. You have a module. Your module has so many units, maybe unit 1 to 6 or to 7. Please, you must familiarize yourself with this. What are your expected learning outcomes that you are expected to know? Please familiarize yourself with them. These are some of the general guides that you should know. Take them seriously. But now, let us go into some specific guide now. Specifically talking about computer literacy. When you collect my examination question paper, come 2021, be it in April, August, or November, you will be required to answer all the questions in that question paper. There will be no practical section in the examination, meaning that you are not going to do practical for me in the exam. However, there will be questions that will examine your practical skills. There will be questions that will examine your practical skills. I will talk more about this during the course of this presentation. Now, another very big or interesting point is this. Mr. Edu, which topics will the question come from? Answer, all the topics in computer literacy. So I'm going to select questions from all the units, from the genesis of the study guide till the revelation of the study guide. Question will cover everything. Do you understand? Say yes. Yes. Good. The first very question that you are going to see is going to be a multiple choice question comprising of 15 questions. 15 multiple questions, each of them having 1 mark. Now, the multiple choice question are picked randomly across your course, your module. So for you to pass this multiple choice question, you must be a student that must have covered every unit in your course module. Then from question 1, we are going to move to question 2. Question 2 will ask you to give definition to various computer terms. To ask you to give definition to various computer terms, such as what define the following: software, hardware, data, information. What is a folder? What is a RAM? What is a ROM? What is a computer memory? These are related terms that I can ask you, but not limited to these. This does not mean that the terms that I use for these presentations are going to be the terms that I'm going to ask you. No, I just mentioned these so that you can understand what I'm trying to talk about. But at this junction, I'm going to mention something very clear. Let's take for an example. I ask you to explain this very term. For example, I say explain ROM. Now, if you look at ROM, ROM here is an acronym. That is why it is not written in small letter, meaning that each of the alphabet here has a meaning, stand for something. So whenever you come across such concept, what should you do? For you to answer the question very well, you should say, okay, ROM, first, give the full meaning. What does it stand for? You cannot say read only memory. Read only memory. So what have I done? First of all, I gave the full meaning of the acronym ROM. After giving the full meaning, the next thing is to explain what it is and give example. Do you understand that now? Whenever you have things like this. Now, whenever a question says define, what does it mean to define? To define means you give the meaning of the concept in the context of which it is used. In computer literacy, do not just give general answers or dictionary definition, technical definition. Usually a meaning specific to the course or to the subject. So if, for example, I ask you, it looks funny what I'm about to say, but it's a reality. It is something that happened. I've want to ask students, what is memory? He says, it's the name of my cousin. I'm not referring to your cousin whose name is memory. I'm saying computer memory. So, example, I've also asked, what is a computer virus? I mean, they say virus is a disease, but I'm asking in the context of computer literacy, what is a computer virus? Do you understand that now? So, you must give technical and professional definition to terms that you are being asked here. So, for you to define, you have to explain the meaning of the word and probably give example where examples are available. Okay, after this question 1 and 2, you move to other questions. Now, the other question can be questions with very length and difficulties. What I mean by difficulties is that it can be a level 1 question, it can be a level 2 question, it can be a level 3 question. This question will be selected from all the units in the module. Let's take one sample question. Let's take one sample question. For example, I ask a question that says that you should discuss the impact of computer in education. I ask a sample question, for example, discuss the impact of computers in education. What is expected of you here? Let's look at that question. The impact. The impact can be a good one, it can be a bad one. So you can discuss both the advantages and disadvantages, it's fine. But if the question have said, discuss the advantages, that is only the good aspect of it you should talk about. Another thing you must pay attention to in this type of sample question is this. I said in education. So if you are talking about the use of computer in education, you cannot tell me things that has nothing to do with education. But if the question says in our society, then you are free to discuss any concept within our society. But if it says in education, in bank, can you see now? Those are specific questions. Now, the best way to answer such questions is this. Let me give you a sample. For example, I say discuss the use of computer in our society. You can talk about in our society, we can use computer in education. You write in education, then you explain, you discuss. Give examples. When you are done, then you move to the second point. 2, we can say e-commerce. E-commerce. Then what should you do? Explain. Give an example. So what Mr. Edo is trying to say is that give a point, a fact, discuss it, add example, mention another one, discuss it, add example. Do not mix up the whole thing in such a way that I find it difficult to see what are your main points. Do not finish one point before you move to the next one. Do not just discuss everything together. And be very careful in giving the number of points. What I mean is that if a question says, give 3 points, do not give more than 3 in expectation that you will get more marks. No. Give 3 points, give 3 points. Give 5 points, give 5 points. Don't give more than that. It will not give you an extra mark. Another point that I must make very crystal clear in my presentation here is this. Be very specific in your presentation, in your giving answers. If I talk about advantages of computer usage, do not give me both the advantages and the disadvantages, expecting me to pick out the correct ones and cancel the incorrect ones. No. If you do that, it means you are not very sure of the answer. In education, we can equally say you are dumping answers. And when you dump answers, both the correct ones and the incorrect ones, what it shows that you are not sure, you are not convinced what is the correct answer. Meaning you have not achieved the expected learning outcome, the competencies. In that case, we mark you wrong. Okay? So do not dump answers. Let's move further. A question can also ask you to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the use of the internet. Remember, the advantages of the internet might or can be different from the advantages of using a computer. Because I might have a computer that is not connected to the internet. So this is another specific question. I might ask you the advantages of using computer, or I'm asking you the advantages of using the internet. So I've also seen from past experience in teaching this subject for so many years, over 25 years now, where students try to give advantages of computer to the internet. There can be, but these are two different things. There are two different things. Advantages of the computer, because as I said, I can have a computer that is not connected to the internet. Okay? And as I said earlier on, avoid repeating point by giving me the synonyms. Don't repeat point by giving me the synonyms. It means it will only give you only 1 mark. Let me give you an example. If I ask you, give me an advantage of using computer, you can say number 1, we use computer, from the internet, we can look for information. Using the internet, we can look for information. You're already giving that to me in your first point. Now you go further, you say number 2, we can research information. You're still talking about the same thing, information, looking for information, researching information. You are still telling me the same thing. Or number 3, you say we can use it to send information to our friends, we can use it to send information to our colleagues. You are still repeating the same thing. So don't repeat words by using their synonyms. It gives you no additional mark. Is that point very clear? Please, everything I tell you today, take it very serious, my beloved student. Listen to me. Listen to me so that you can become successful when it comes 2021, April, August, or November examination. Are you there? Please don't sleep. If your friend is sleeping, please wake her up that Mr. Edo is talking. Let's listen to this man so that you can pass. Is that fine? Good. You will pass, don't worry. You will pass. Do not just say amen, amen, amen without working for it. The Bible said faith without work is dead, So you must work for it. So saying amen, amen will not make you pass alone. Amen, fine, it's a prayer, good, but you have to work for it. So let's continue our discussion. Another thing that I'm going to discuss here is this question that most times do come up at times. It says that the use of diagram to explain concepts. For example, I can say use a diagram to explain the hardware components. Use a diagram to explain information processing cycle. Use diagram to explain. What does it mean? How do you approach a question? First, you draw the diagram. Because I'm saying use a diagram to explain it. All right. So first, draw the diagram of information processing cycle. After drawing the diagram, what next should you do is to label your diagram. Label the diagram. After labeling all the components of the diagram, then explain each of the components in the diagram. Let me give you an example. If I have a kind of a diagram like this, okay, I have this, then if I say, okay, maybe it is under processing, I have memory here, I have another component here, maybe this is output, then I have input here, I have storage or memory here. I must label each of the diagrams, the components of the diagrams. After labeling the components of the diagram, then I should explain each component with example. That is how to approach such a question. So drawing the diagram will give you a mark on its own. Explaining the components of the diagram will give you a mark. Giving an example of each of the components will also give you additional marks. I'm not stingy with marks. I give it. I give. The Bible says, ask and it shall be given. Here I'm saying, write and I shall give it to you. We don't give free here marks. No. Write, good, I will give it to you. If students score 100 over 100 in my subject, I have no reason to hold a mark when you get everything. So don't say, it's impossible to get 100. It is very possible to get 100 over 100. All right? And I tell you today, you will get 100 over 100. Somebody is saying amen already. It's true your prayer will be answered, but work for it. Let us move further now. Remember I told you in my introduction, that we don't do practicals in the exam. However, I will examine you. I will ask you questions that are practical oriented. For example, I can ask you to explain or to describe the following: how to shut down a computer, how to start a computer, how to create a folder, how do you save a document, how do you print a document. So when I ask you this type of question, I'm basically asking you to explain in detail or to describe how it can be done. But you said, but Mr. Edo, but I don't have a computer at home. How did you do your assignment? Remember the assignment I gave to you? You printed it out. So you work on your assignment. This is where I get to know if you did the assignment on your own or not. That is why I always tell you, stay away from giving your assignment to people to do for you. Fine. People will do the assignment for you. You get 100 over 100. You get 90 over 100. Remember, those people will not come in the exam hall to write for you. That is why you must be involved in doing your assignment, because I am going to ask you same question or similar question come the examination time. Because you printed the assignment. Fine, you printed the assignment. You submitted it to me. Now I'm asking you, explain to me how to print. Then you are saying, I don't know. But you did it for me. Meaning you are not the one who did it for me. Can you see now? But it's not too late, my beloved students. It can still be repaired. There is still room for it. So if you know you have never done practicals in your life when it comes to computer literacy, take your computer and practice all those exercises that are in your model. I can hear you. Someone is saying, we don't have computer, we are in the village, we are in the rural area. I understand, my sister. I understand, my brother, that you are in the rural area. Perhaps there is no electricity. Perhaps you don't have access to internet. Perhaps you don't have computer. But do you know the good news here? You are a student of the best institute on earth, where our education is taken to the most remote part of the earth. IOL brings the education to you. IOL gives you distance education. And do you know what IOL have done? They have created centers with computers, with internet facilities close to your village or to wherever you are domiciled. So, take a day off. Drive or move to the nearest city or town. Look for IOL office there. Book a time. Practice there. You cannot achieve certain things in life, especially in education, if you sit in your comfort zone. No, you cannot. So you have to take an extra mile. Success is for those who take extra mile. So stop complaining about there are no computers. Stop complaining there are no internet. All these facilities, they are already provided by IOL. And they are not just in Windhoek. They are across the whole country. So call your course coordinator. Ask, where is the nearest IOL office to me so that I can go and do my practicals there. Should you have further problem, please contact Mr. Edo. Now let's move to Microsoft Excel. I'm going to give you a question on Microsoft Excel, something that looks like this, not like this, looks like this. Now, when you see question on Microsoft Excel, what are some of the related questions that we can ask you? I'm going to talk about just 2 or 3 today. For example, I can ask you that looking at this table in Microsoft Excel, I can ask you questions like this. Number 1, how many columns or rows does this spreadsheet have? Name one. How many columns do you find here? If I ask you how many columns, this is how you count your columns. These are your columns. This is column A, column B, column C, column D, column E. So how many columns do I have here? I have 5 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 columns. Now, this is not part of your column. Please take note of that. So I've seen that from the previous examination when you ask how many columns are these, some student will tell you that these are 6 columns. No, they are 5 columns. This is not part of your column. Every column has an alphabet on top. So these are, here it is, 5 columns. Another question that I ask when it comes to Microsoft Excel like this is, how many rows do you have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. 7 rows. These are 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in counting your rows, you don't count these ones. Do not count this one. This is not part of your role, but a column heading. So know how to count how many rows and how many columns do you have. Another related question that can come from Microsoft Excel is this. Tell me a cell that has a number. Tell me a cell that has a value. We call it value. Values are numbers. So you can look at this spreadsheet and tell me any cell that has number in it. If you tell me, for example, cell B2, yes, you are correct. Cell C2, yes, you are correct. Cell A3, no, you are wrong. Because this is not a number. When we talk about value, it has to do with what? Numbers. Now, how do you write your cells? Take note. If I say a cell that contains a value, for example, I can say B2. This is how you write your cell, not 2B. No, this is wrong. The column before the row, B2. You can write it in small letter, you can write it in capital letter, it's up to you. But the column alphabet before the number. The column alphabet before the number. Please take note of that. Okay? And again, if I say give me a cell that contains a value, do not give me more than 1. Do not give me, like what I said before, do not dump them for me. Although the one that is correct is among the ones that you dump, no, I won't mark it right for you. If I ask for a cell, give me 1. Don't dump both correct and incorrect cell for me. Another related question that we ask is that give a cell that contains a label. Give a cell that contains a label. give a cell that contains a label. What is a label? A label is alphabets. So, for example, cell A1, cell A2, cell A3, cell A4, A5, B1, C1, D1, E1, they are all labeled because they contain the alphabet. So any cell that contains alphabet is a label. All right. Another interesting question that is very common with Microsoft Excel is the use of formulas. That's why you must practice very well how to write your formula. Anytime you are going to write a formula, every formula in Excel starts with an equal sign. Equal sign. Let's take one example, just one example. Let's look at question 1,6. 1,6. Write down the formula which should be in cell E2. That should be in cell E2. Now, how do you approach it? You go to the table. Let's look for E2. Here is E2. Now, this column is all about total. So we are looking for a formula that will add this, this, and this together. So, and put the formula here. So you say equal, I can say B2 plus C2 plus D2. Why? I'm trying to add together. Let me shift a bit I'm trying to add together this 300 plus this 100 plus this 250. I'm trying to add these together. So when you add, before you write a formula, you say equal. So I said B2 plus C2 plus D2. Please do not write the content of the cell. Rather, write the name of the cell. Okay? An alternative way of you doing this is by using a function. The function that we use in adding together is called sum. So I can equally write it like this. Equal sum, open a bracket, B2 to D2. Then close the brackets. This sum is a function that is used to add values together. So there are other functions like average, mean, max. Please check your study guide. You will see other functions and the syntax of how to use them. You have to practice this, my dear student. You can't escape. I repeat, you cannot escape from this type of question that has to do with formula in Excel. It is always there, asking you to write formulas. So practicing it now will help you to pass your examination. Now let us leave Microsoft Excel and move further to another area that you should also get prepared for. That has to do with email and internet. Can you explain things like download, upload, website, search engine, web browser, email, homepage, as well as advantages of email? But remember in my introduction, this is not a scope. So when I say I'm going to ask you a question related to email and internet, I'm not saying that these are the only things that I'm going to ask you. No, I'm saying these are things, it can look like this, to explain things like this. Internet and email related concepts, terminologies. We can ask you to discuss them. We can ask you to describe them. We can ask you to write a short note on them, depending on the level of which the question is being asked. Do you know how to send an email? Have you ever sent an email? I can ask you to explain the process involved in sending an email. And when you send an email, at times we used to have what is called an attachment. A file can be attached to an email. What is an attachment? How do you attach a file when sending an email? That you should also practice with. When you write me an email, I reply you. But if you look at your email component, we have reply, we have reply all. What is the difference between reply and reply all? What does it mean to compose? What does it mean to forward? What about CC, BCC? Please look for these things in your study guide. Another area that you cannot escape also when it comes to the examination is PowerPoint. I'm going to ask you a few questions also on PowerPoint, ranging from features of PowerPoint, the advantages of using PowerPoint, the uses of PowerPoint, and other related things that has to do with PowerPoint as stated in your study module and study guide. Don't forget also Microsoft Word. How do you correct spelling in a document? How do you print a document in Microsoft Word? How do you save a document using Microsoft Word? These and other related things we can ask you come April, August, or November 2021 examination. Are you there? We are almost getting to the end of the presentation. Now, what more? Do you need more help? Who will help you? IUL have already appointed me as your contact tutor. Call me on my number on 081-480-4091, or probably you can also email me. I will answer you. But remember, if it has to do with a call, I prefer you call me after work as from 5:30, that I can engage you to explain to you things that you perhaps are struggling with when it has to do with computer literacy. Ladies and gentlemen, my beloved students, it is easy to pass. Only if you study. Start to study now for your examination. Then at the end, I will see you in your black gown when it comes to the graduation day at the Institute for Open Learning, the best institute when it comes to distance education. I wish you all the best in your examination. Contact me should you need further help. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, my beloved student, remember those things that I mentioned. It is one thing to hear, it is another thing to practice them. I wish you all the best with flying colors in your examination. I remain your tutor, Edu. Thank you.